So this has been magnified. This is scaling, standard, soft, and scatter. So though much not difference is visible here, we will change its size to magnification and we would make this feather to 1. And let us see on standard, let us see on scatter. So the scaling would be efficient if we are scaling our magnification amount or the intensity to maybe double. So right now it's 136 and I would make this to none and magnification is 378 here. And suppose if we from standard, if we make it to soft, we are able to see that it's getting a slight soft here. This is the soft. It's getting pixelated a bit, and through this soft the pixels are removed to some extent. And this is scatter. It creates a noise if the magnification is almost, the amount of magnification is double. So from 150 we had scaled up to 378, so it will be, the scaling would be beneficial then. Otherwise if it's on 150, then it would not be of much use to us, the scatter. And there are different blending modes: overlay, soft light, hard light, which we had already seen. So again, it depends if you want to have this kind of effect in your video. If you go for none, then only the magnification would be viewed. And if you go for normal, along with the video footage played behind, the magnification would also be visible here. Yeah, so this was our magnify effect. Let us come to the next effect now, which is mirror. So this mirror creates a reflection kind of effect, and if we change this reflection angle, so you can see it down here, it is creating a reflection. So suppose after this bowl we want a reflection, then let us do one thing. Let us take this to 0 and let us position this a bit, though this black thing is visible. But what we would do, the magic of this mirror is we would create that reflection angle, and I would say to 90 degree, and I would offset its position. So a nice reflection is being created. So this can be used, suppose if you want to have a shadow kind of thing or something and you wanted to place it beneath, so it is helpful. Then it creates a replica of the same with a reflection angle to it. It can be also be helpful when you have something on water, so maybe a boat is sailing or something and you want to have a reflection of it. So you can use this mirror effect, which would create the reflection of that boat sailing in the water. So it can be beneficial that time. So yeah, this was our mirror effect. Let us come to the next effect, which is offset. So we have applied this offset effect here. So this offset effect pans the image within a clip, and the visual information which is pushed off on one side of the image, it appears on the opposite side. So let us see that. This is the shift center too. So if we move it, so you are able to see this hand, this portion which is getting cropped here is being displayed on the opposite side. Same on the Y. This portion, this bowl is being covered here and is creating an offset. So the bangles here are again being covered on the other side, on this opposite side, and this is creating this effect. This is blend with original. Right now it's 0%. If you make this to 50, then it would have a blend of both the original footage without the effect as well as the video footage with the effect. 100 means only the footage without effect, and it is getting blend with the offset effect is getting blend with the original footage at 100%. So we will make this to 0 as we want the entire footage or the entire footage to be visible with the effect. So yeah, this was our offset effect, and it also can be animated here. This kind of effect can also be created through offset effect in Premiere. So this was the offset effect. Now the next effect here is sphere eyes. So we have applied this sphere eyes effect here. So this sphere eyes effect distorts a layer by wrapping the image onto a sphere. So let's check that. The radius is 0.0 currently. Let us increase this. So if you can see, from 0 we have gone to 368, and this is the center of the sphere which I am currently tweaking the value, and this is wrapping the image and is also wrapping the lens and is creating a sphere shape. And this can also be added as an effect. We can also have animation on this, say maybe this sphere effect from left to right, and let's check that. This is distorting the image, so this can also be used as effect if you want to have this in your video. And we will say it to ease in for a smoother animation. You can also have this on your y-axis. So this is currently going from this way to this way, from here to here. So this was our sphere eyes effect. Now let's come to the next effect, which is transform. So what transform does is it offsets the video from the frame, and this is its position, this is its anchor point. It is the same as we get the controls of this inside our motion tab inside effects control itself. This is the scale height, where you are able to scale the height and scale the width here. And if you want a uniform scale, then you need to check on this option and say scale. So this is the same as it's there in our motion tab. This is a new distort property under transform, which is known as skew. So it is distorting our image. This is the skew axis. So it depends on what degree we want to skew our video clip. Note this Q effect, this distort effect can also be applied on our images if you have any. So this can also be animated. So this distort kind of effect can also be created. This is again the rotation. So you can also animate this. This is the opacity, how much opaque you want your video clip to be. This is the shutter angle. So this kind of effect can also be created through transform. Now coming to the next effect, which is turbulent displace. So if you see this, if I check this on and off, you're able to see this. This is distorting our lens. So this turbulent displace effect uses a turbulent distortion on our image, and it uses the fractal noise to create that turbulent distortion. So let's check this. If you increase the amount or the intensity, it creates this. Size can be varied again. Right now it is 2, so nothing is being visible. Right now it's 56. So this effect can also create wonders if you are using something like if you are showing some water bodies. So during that it can be used where maybe a river or maybe a lake or something where the water is there and you want to create that effect. So it can be used there, and it can also be used while using a flag. Maybe you can show, you want to show a flag which is waving, so you can use that. So right now I don't have a flag, but I have a image, and I would apply the same effect there. So let us apply distort on this. So this is my original image. I would scale it a bit as I do not want the black bounding box here to be visible, and I would check on this and animate this. This is the offset turbulence, which means the position. So if you can drag this anchor point here, so that amount would be manipulated and that turbulence would be created there. This is the complexion, how complex you want your turbulent distortion to be, and this is the evolution. So you can create this kind of effect in water. We can also import a water footage here. So I've imported my water clip into my Premiere, and suppose if I want this portion, so instead of this I would replace this from bin, and this effect can be created. Go to FX control, select this, I would again apply the turbulent displays effect here, and so you can see this. If you animate this, it can create this effect. So this effect can be created. So yeah, that was our turbulent displays, which can be used to create animations and distortions while using flags or water bodies. So let us come to the next effect, which is my twirl. So if I increase the angle, it distorts the it creates a distort effect while using twirl, and from the center of my screen you can also increase the radius, and you can also create this kind of effect here through twirl. This is the center. So I would animate the angle. This is my twirl effect, which is distorting my lens and creating a twirl or a twist kind of distortion on my video footage. Coming to the next effect, which is warp stabilizer. Warp stabilizer requires clip dimensions to match sequence fixed by nesting. So as you can see, my video in my sequence into my timeline and timeline are not the same. So it wants this to be exactly the same. So first let us check our timeline. It is in 1280 720 and our video footage is 1920 1080. So let's check if we have any 1280 1080. Yeah, we have 1280 720 guitar footage. So we will delete this, and I would say change sequence settings, and then we would apply our warp stabilizer. So it is analyzing in background. So what is the function exactly of warp stabilizer? Warp stabilizer is generally used when we have something to stabilize, when a footage is to be stabilized. Suppose if you have shot a video clip and through or not through a tripod or through a camera stand, and if you have shooted that roughly with your hands, so we will obviously notice our natural hand movements. So in order to get a smooth uh, movement of our video footage without much of shaky footage, we need to use this warp stabilizer. As my current footage is on a fixed camera, so this warp stabilizer won't be of much use because our footage is already shot on a fixed camera. So this warp stabilizer would mainly help when there are um, when a video has been shooted on a free hand without any use of tripod or camera stand. So it would be beneficial then. So now let's come to the last effect, which is wave warp in our distort effect. So if I uncheck this, you can see this has created this effect and it is moving on. This wave kind of effect has been created. If we increase the wave height, this is a sine, this is a square. These are the different shapes. Triangle, then it is sawtooth, circle, this is semicircle. If you can see on the edges, on the top and the end of our video frame. you'll be able to see it. This is the noise. This is smooth noise. I would like to make this to circle, and wave height would be around 22 with wave width 164, direction 120 degree, wave speed maybe a little less, maybe 0.5. This is spinning all edges. Center, it would only spin through the center. Left edge, this is pretty stagnant, and the original one, the other different kind of pinnings which you want to have on your footage. This is the right edge, so the right edge remains constant, and the rest of the areas which includes top, bottom and left are changed. Bottom remains intact now, and the left, top and right are changed. Horizontal edges, so this is creating only these the other vertical edges, so these are affected. Is I've made it to 93 as of now. Anti-aliasing is basically the amount of feather, the amount of smoothness which you want to have. So right now it's low. I would prefer medium, as I want it to be smooth and not a very jerky or a very cutout kind of appearance. You can keep it to high also. So this was our wave warp, and here we end the effects inside our distort effects panel. As we have gone through the different effects inside the distort effect panel, let us go through them in a nutshell one by one. Corner pin effect, lens distortion effect, magnify effect, mirror effect, offset effect, spherize effect, transform effect, turbulence displace effect, whirl effect, wave warp effect. So these were the different kind of distort effects which we had gone through. After looking through the distort effects, now the next set of effects is generate inside our effects tab. So the first effect under the generate tab is 4-color gradient. So we have applied this 4-color gradient, and this 4-color gradient actually creates a blending between 4 colors with its positions, and it can also be blended with our original footage, as well as its position can also be changed. So let us see. This is point 1, which is my first color, the yellow one. So if I want to change its position, so if you have noticed, it has come from here to here. Now let's get it on the middle, and it is creating a blend. And suppose from yellow, if I want to go to blue or maybe orange, so it is this, and maybe I want this to be green itself and this to be sky blue and not dark blue. And the good thing is you can also animate the colors here, so we will be doing that. So I have created all the keyframes, and I would, from orange it would go to green, from green it would go to blue, from pink it would go to red, or maybe orange, and from sky blue it will go to pink. So check this. Yeah, the colors are animating and it's creating a very cool effect. This can also be created and can be used as overlays in your video footages. Again, if I want some animation, then again I can set keyframes, and from green I can say make it to pink. This blue I can make it to yellow. This orange I can make it to maybe green, and this pink I can make it to blue. So let's check this. How does it looks? just creating a very smooth blending in between these colors. We will still say it ease in. It would not be, as there is no position, so ease in would not be available here. And this is the blend. It was on 100%. If I want it, I can increase it more. If I want, I can decrease it down to 5. I would make this to 150 for a smoother blend. This is the jitter. If you want any amount of noise here, which you can see here, it is creating a noise here. I don't want any kind of jitter or noise, so I would make this to 0, and opacity I would like to make this as 100. And the cool thing is, this is the blending mode. I would say none by default. The next is normal. So if we scroll it through our mouse, it says add, and it's create this on our footage itself. Screen, soft light, hard light, color dodge, color burn, light and difference, hue, saturation, color, luminosity, etc. So I would like to make this as maybe overlay, and I would decrease its opacity to 70%, and we can have this on our footage with the footage being in color. So this is again a very cool kind of effect if you want to create, if you're creating any disco kind of environment where there are light bulbs or something, or lights or something. So you can create this and you can place this. You can also have this more on multiply mode, or maybe a screen, maybe add, lighten. So it depends how you want to use it. So it depends how you want to use it. So this was our 4 color gradient, and even if you want to have a mask on it, then you can also have it. I would invert it, and I would say I only want my edges to be masked. So I would scale this, and on the edges it would create a very fine mask, and I would say feather. So if you can see this kind of effect also looks very good. Maybe I can increase the feather more. So this portion is remains intact, and the rest of the portion on my borders and edges are created through this 4 color gradient effect. Now let's come to the next effect, which is cell pattern. So cell pattern basically creates some patterns which are there by default. The first one is bubbles. This is the contrast, overflow clip, overflow wrap back, I would say clip, disperse. So in this way you can animate this bubbles also. This is the size, how much size you want it to be. Offset, the position, and the next thing is tiling options, how much you want it to be tiled, horizontal, vertical. So your video footage is now being replaced with this uh, cell pattern, and it won't be visible anymore. Evolution, how much you want it. So the other different options, bubbles, let me reset everything. And the next is crystals, plates. This can create a very noisy kind of effect. And if we do not want tiling here, then we can animate this disperse and it will create the noise effect, which is observed on TVs when there are no signals. So the next is static plates. It's crystallized. So you can have this effect, this kind of effect by animating this. So let us make the size to 55 and this water colorful color paint kind of effect can also be created in Premiere. The next is pillow. So these are the different effects which you can use according to your choice. So this was our cell pattern. The next is checkerboard. It has generated this checkerboard, corner point, width slider and width and height slider. Let us make this corner point. We can also change its anchor point through X and Y axis. Color you can give any, suppose if we give green, then it's a combination of green. If we give it red, then it's a combination of red and black. Blending mode can be any, maybe stencil alpha. Normal, this is the normal, none, this is normal. So the black boxes which it was creating, it was transparent and now it has been showing through that. This is the stencil alpha. The next is multiply. These are the different modes. If you want to add any effect kind of thing, you can add it here. So yeah, this was our checkerboard option. Now let's come to the next option, which is circle. So let us apply the circle effect here and see what it does. So if you see here, the circle has been created here, and a circle or maybe a ring has been created here, and we can have control over here. We can also invert this circle, and this can be the utility of the circle if you want to show a kind of mask or something. So through this circle, if your blending mode in stencil alpha, then you will be able to show this. This is edge radius, this is thickness. They are the different kind of circles. We can also add feather to it. So you can also animate this, maybe a mask kind of effect, or maybe you want to show something through binoculars, so this kind of effect is used. Or suppose if you want to stay it, if you want this circle to stay for some time, then you can also do that. You can press down the alt key on the keyframe and you can have a duplicate copy of this with the same values. so it can be used to create this kind of effect. This is the normal mode. This is stencil alpha. Add, multiply, overlay. You can also change its color. Maybe I want a greenish color, then it can also act like this. Right now it is in color burn, darken, lighten, difference, exclusion, color, luminosity. There are different kind of blending modes which you can keep your circle here. So this was circle. The next is eclipse. So eclipse again creates a, though very not much popular, it creates an effect. This kind of effect can be created from eclipse, and it can be used to create any shape. You can also change its color, maybe green and maybe yellow. This is the thickness, this is the softness, width and height. So though this is not much important, you can create this kind of shape through eclipse. This is the eyedropper fill. So the eyedropper fill applies a sample color to the source clip, and this effect is very useful if you want to pick a color mm, from the video clip and want to apply the same. So let us check that. This is the radius of our eyedropper fill. So it has, you need to move this anchor point in order to get that color. So the right now, if you can see, my anchor point is on the white here, so it is creating this white kind of thing. If I go to these trees, it will create slight green, so it is creating this green washout kind of thing. If I come here, then yeah, it is creating that green kind of thing. Let's check this on another footage, maybe this fruit salad footage. And eyedropper fill, I select this, and if I go to this pomegranate, so it would change to red. If I go to these mangoes, it changes to yellow. It created a yellow wash, creates a yellow wash kind of thing. If I go to this bowl, it creates a white. If I go to this silver spoon, it creates this. So wherever you take this anchor point, it creates the uh, wash, the color, and it is very useful if you want to have the same kind of color from your footage rather than creating one and importing here and then again using the effects. You can use this and it's very easily and quickly done. This is blend with original is 0. This is at 100%. I would make this to 30, maybe 33. So yeah, this was our eyedropper fill. The next is grid. Let's check that. So this grid has been created. It generates a grid, and instead of designing something, or if you want to show some graph or something, this can be easily be created just through this effect. You can set any color, and the other different blending modes. If you want to have a kind of, you want this to act as an overlay, so you can make this to normal mode. This grid would act as an overlay. Or this is stencil alpha, only the lines which are visible will be covered through this video footage beneath, and if you increase the border, that can also be done. There are different multiply modes where you can have your grid as. So this can also be used if you want to create a grid. The next option is lens flare. Again, I would like to switch back to my previous footage. Let's say right click, replace with clip from bin, and suppose if you want to if you want to have a lens flare, which should be naturally if you have shot from camera, but if you want to add a fake lens flare, this is the perfect effect for it. As I have applied, you can see a lens flare has been created. So what you need to do is, like, if you want to animate the lens flare, you click here, and if you see an anchor point is there, so I want the lens flare movement from left to right. So what I do is I toggle this animation on, and after some frames I go here again, add a keyframe, and I take this anchor point here, and if you can see, the lens flare is animating, and now it has gone from left to right. So it is a very useful tool if lens flare is not there in your footage, and if you want to add a random lens flare. You can also control its brightness. Right now by default it's on 100%. You can also animate this, so I would definitely animate this, and I would make this to 100%. So if I come to this frame, these are the different kind of lens types. This is 50 to 300 mm zoom, this is 35 mm prime, and this is 105 mm prime. These are different lens flare. I would like to stick to this 50 to 30 mm zoom. And the next option here is blend with original. Again, as I said, if you want to blend it with 100%, then nothing will be visible. 50 would be visible, and 0, this thing would be visible. The lens flare would be visible in full. This you can use when there is something you're starting your movie with a clip where there is a mountain shot, and you're starting your movie with a sunrise, so you can use there. And suppose if there is again something related with sun, something related with daylight, and you have shot and you want to add your lens flare, so you can add this creative lens flare, and it is very useful. So yeah, this was our lens flare effect. Now let's come to the next effect, which is lightning. So the moment I dragged and dropped here, you can see a lightning has been created. And now let's check its attributes. This is the start point where you want your lightning to be start. So I want this at my starting point. So this is the lightning or thunder, which is can be again created. Endpoint maybe here. This is the X and Y axis. You can also animate this. Let's take a dark footage, or maybe let's take a black solid here, and I would say new item and color matte. Okay, and I would take a black matte here, and I would replace this with matte, so that this is effect is visible to us pretty good. So take this up, and these are the segments, how much segments these you want. Right now it is at 25, which is the maximum. This is at 3. Let's make this to 14. This is the amplitude, how you want to be either straight. Straight doesn't look good, so we would make this to 10. Detail level, you can increase this, the amount of detail it would have. Detailed amplitude, I do not want much of it. Branching, if you want it to be more branched, right now it is 0. I would say maybe 0.4. I do not want much of branching, so I would make this to 0.3. This is creating lightning. Just audio with the lightning or thunder sound can add magics here. This is the rebranching. From one branch, if you want the sub branch, it can also be added here. This is the branch angle, how you want it. You can change it according to your preference. Branch sequence length, how long you want your branch sequence. Branch segments, how much you want your branch segments to be. I do not want so much, so I would make this to 4. Branch width, speed, maybe 4. Stability, how much stable you want. I don't want so much stable. And this is the width of our entire lightning, so you can increase this. I would say maybe 12 with variation. 0.5 core width, the overall width, and this is the color. Suppose if you want this blue, and maybe you can select this blue. You can again animate the color as this animate options are available. This is the pull force. It would, if you pull this up, then your lightning will move towards to upwards. I do not want it. Or maybe you can say 1. I would restrict this color to dark blue. This is the pull direction, in which direction you want to have this. This is the random seed, which would create a random kind of pull. This is again the blending mode. Normal, add, and screen. So yeah, this was our lightning effects which can be created in Premiere itself. The next effect of a lightning is paint bucket. So let us see what paint bucket does. The paint bucket effect is a non-destructive paint effect that fills an area with a solid color, and it also works almost like the paint bucket tool in Adobe Photoshop. And using this paint bucket, we can use this for colorizing cartoon type outline drawings, or we can also work on replacing some areas of an image through this color, and it is a creative way. So let us check that. This is the fill point. I am increasing the fill point, and it says fill sector color and alpha, straight color, transparency, opacity, alpha channel. So there is no alpha channel present right here. So we would say color and alpha, straight and color, and I want this maybe to be, say, sky blue. This is the threshold where our mask can be seen, and this is the tolerance value, how much you want your color to be filled. Suppose I do not want on this pillar, so what I do is I draw a bucket here. I draw a mask here, and I do not want from this. I only want my sky to be in blue, and I'm drawing a mask here so that none of my areas are affected beneath the sky, and I would say invert it. So if you can see here, only the area with the sky is being affected, and I would increase the mask. So in this way you can stroke anti-alias. I would say feather softness. Yeah, I want feather, otherwise it was looking very jerky or and a cutout kind of color fill. Blending mode, again stencil alpha, there are many. Screen multiply, if you can see the soft light, this is getting blended very well, and it should look natural. That is our main motive. So I would say overlay, and if not this color, then this can also go, I guess, according to the time of the footage shot. So if you can see this is also going pretty well. So you can also increase the feather from here. If I do invert fill, it would invert, but I do not want that. So I would stick to overlay, and through this we can have a portion of our video clip colored wherever we want. Any flat color we can apply there according to our choice. So yeah, this was paint bucket. Now let's come to the next effect, which is ramp. So what ramp does is it creates a gradient in between two colors, and if you click here on the effect ramp, you can see the two anchor points. So if you see this white color, you can add it, you can go upwards, and it would create a smooth blend in between two colors. So what I would do is, I would, instead of black, I would want say purple kind of color, and you can again add this ramp scatter, and this is blend with original. You can have a blend of both. So on this it can act as a washout or an overlay, and instead of white, I would say maybe I would have green or something, so it can act as a very smooth gradient. So instead of this linear, we can also have radial, which have a circular kind of, maybe we can swap the colors. I would say green here and purple here, so it would have a circle roundicle kind of effect, roundicle kind of ramp, or the gradient in between the two colors. Maybe I can say here as white, maybe black. You need to try with different tweaks. Want this to be dark pink. So this was our ramp, which can create blend of two colors, a gradient effect, maybe radial or linear. And the last effect here is right on. So if you can see, a small circle has been created here. So through this we will be able to have a right on kind of effect. I have increased my brush size. Now what I want is, suppose I want to have a text here with its animation, and I would like to have, say, maybe just I want to write any alphabet, maybe Adobe, then we can write that here. So my color is black now, and my brush size is 23. Brush hardness, I do not want much, maybe 50, as I want softness in it. And now we can start with our animation by toggling this animation off. Select this, go to some frames. So this is the alphabet. This is creating a ink pen kind of. You can also add your graffiti or something if you want to. I would change the color to blue, or maybe we can have a cursive writing kind of thing, maybe on the wall, as we are having the wall. So it's, I guess it's the best option to create a graffiti. And what I would do is I would take this here, and so now we'll be animating our brush position. So I would decrease this a bit, and then after a few keyframes I would again. So if you can see now, this animation has been created. And in the same way, suppose if you want to have a write on here, then you can have it. So let us create a fresh one on, not on the wall, but on our entire video. So let us first change this from white to maybe orange, and I would write something as, this is the brush size. I would want its position to be here, and I would start animating this. So this option basically gives you the control of drawing through a brush. So if you can see this, I've created this. It says E and F. I actually wanted to write FX. So what we can do is we can make this animation more faster, and so I've made the animation more faster, and in a very innovative way, I've written X. So this is E, F, and X. So in this way, you can also write anything you want, and you can animate your brush position. This is the hardness, how much hard you want. This is the opacity. This is the stroke length. This is the brush spacing. So I would want it to be a bit hard, and this way you can create this right on effect. These are the brush, different kind of brush type properties: hardness, size, on original image, on transparent, and reveal original image. So through this it would act as a mask, and through this animation of the brush it would reveal the beneath layer. So yeah, this is again a very cool effect which you can implement in your video. So through this right on effect, we covered all our effects inside the generate panel. So as we have gone through all the effects inside the generate video effects, let us quickly go through in a nutshell one by one. 4-color gradient effect, cell pattern effect, checkerboard effect, circle effect, eclipse effect, eyedropper fill effect, grid effect, lens flare effect, lightning effect, paint bucket effect, ramp effect, and the right on effect. So these through these video effects we will be able to generate all these kind of effects. So after looking through all the effects under the generate effects tab, now it's time to move on to the next effect, which is image control. And the first effect under image control is black and white. So let us drag and drop this effect on our video clip. So as you can see here, if while after applying this effect black and white, our video clip has turned into black and white, and by the term itself it is very much clear to the users that this footage automatically converts any colored clip to a grayscale mode, and but it turns the video clip into black and white, and these colors appears as a shade of gray. And we can also animate this if we want to create a masking in order to get a blend of both, in order to get the blend of both black and white as well as the colored footage. So let us take this mask, and I would I've drawn this rectangular mask, and now what I want is, so rather than this there can be one more way. Rather than creating mask there, so we can also create a animation of disk. So suppose if we want a blend of both, so what we can do is, while the cursor being played through our video clip, we can just play it, and we can go on press Control K. K stands for kangaroo, and it is a progressive cut. So you can see here right now my footage is getting splitted, or I'm using it through Control K rather than using my razor tool, which is this. The shortcut for this is C, but I've used Control K, which is a progressive cut, which means you can cut your video clip, you can trim your video clip even while playing. So at first I want it to be on normal mode, then again I want to be removed from black and white, then again black and white, then again I want it to be colored. So basically I'm deleting that effect, and so just on after a gap of one video clip or one cut, we can go on removing this effect, and we can get that mix of black and white in our footage. So this effect you can create it without animating any keyframes, and this is possible through the progressive cut by pressing Control and K. K stands for kangaroo. So yeah, this was our black and white. Now let's come to the next effect. I would delete all these and I would bring this on a fresh timeline. And the next is color balance RGB effect. What it does is this color RGB effect changes the amount of red, green, and blue in a clip. So it is the same, almost same as we have seen in color correction. So in this way, you can have your, suppose I want a more of bluish tint, then I would decrease the value of the red and green. I want a bluish tint. So in this way, you can have your color balance RGB. You can also animate this by adding keyframes. Now from blue, this footage will be turning into yellowish tint. So you can see the animation of our color balance here, and the footage being turning into a yellowish tint, which is starting from blue initially and ending up to yellowish tint. What I'll do here is I would decrease more the value of blue so that you are able to get the difference. Initially it was blue. If you see here, now it is turning to yellow. So yeah, this kind of effect also you can animate this through color balance RGB. The next is color pass effect. So basically this color pass effect converts a clip to a grayscale, and but with the exception of a single specified color, we can use this color pass effect to highlight a particular area of a clip. For example, in a clip, if suppose, let us see in this clip, suppose I want this pomegranate here to be highlighted, then what I do is I would pick this color and I want the rest of the things to be in black and white. I just want to highlight this, or maybe I want the yellowish tint to be more highlighted, and you need to tweak these values from similarity. If similarity is 0, the entire footage is black and white, and if you increase this, there's a very cool and trendy effect these days. If you want any particular specified color to be in your video, we will also see this as is a very important color effect which is trending these days. We will also see it with on a different footage. So I've imported this footage in my Premiere timeline, and this is the footage where I would want this lady's top to be in red, which is in, this will be color, and the rest of the thing will be in black and white. So let's check that. Let us drag and drop this here. I only want the video, and I would say this to scale to frame size, and I go to effects and I say color pass. So right now if you can see, the entire video clip has been turned into black and white, as we have not specified or picked up any color through this tool which says color. So check this eyedropper tool here, and the moment you go here, the entire thing becomes saturated, and it lets you allow to pick any particular pixel or particular color. So I would like to pick from here, and I would increase the similarity. So right now you can see even the face is getting blended with this, as it is catching the same color pixels. So we will choose some different color. And you need to be very catchy here, and you need to tweak here in order to get the desired effect. Or let's check off this once, and we would say sharpen, as this footage is slightly out of focus. and I would also apply unsharpen mask. And now I would say take color pass to my last effect, and now I would choose the color. And what I would do here is I would draw a mask here, and I do not want this area to be affected. And I will close the mask here. So if you see here, we need to adjust this as the portion of her top is also getting cropped. I do not want her face to be highlighted or be in color, as well as her hands. And this way you can animate your mask also, the mask path. And now if you can see here, though her hairs are in colored, but we can decrease the similarity. So if I invert the mask, her rest of the things get desaturated or it gets converted into a grayscale mode. And if I do not invert, the her top is only been, this area is only been getting in RGB value as we have picked from this color, and the rest of the area becomes desaturated. And I would like to take this mask upwards, as I do not want any kind of masking on my above area, and I want the entire footage to be in black and white except her top. So right now you can see this is, you have to animate the mask of our color pass in order to get the desired result. And in this way you need to tweak with the key points of this in order to get this cool effect. And let us check this. So right now you can see, as we have not clicked on animation, as our mask path was not being animated here. So this is the issue which we are facing, and you need to again animate this. And Here if you can see slightly it is getting, so you need to animate this or apply a kind of basic rotoscopy here in order to get this effect. As there is a movement, you can say tremendous movement in the character, you will be need to animate the mask very frequently on a very short time span, and this can create this effect. This effect is really trending these days in the industry, so you can get this desired effect through color pass effect, which is inside the effect of image control. So yeah, this was our color pass effect. The next effect of a color pass is color replace. So this color replace effect replaces all the occurrence of a selected color with a new color, preserving any gray levels, and using this effect we can change the color of an object in an image by selecting it, and we can then adjust the controls to create a different color. So let's see that. I have to apply this effect on my video, and right now I would choose another video. I would like to work on this footage with my color replace effect, and I would replace this color. So let's drag and drop this here, and I only want the odd video, and then I would say scale to frame size, and I go to effects and I say color replace, and I choose this color from here, or maybe this, and I want this to be changed to say orangish. Now let's check this by increasing the similarity. So it is getting affected to some extent, and it is also calculating the pixels from here. So what we can do is we can select another color, we can decrease the similarity here, or maybe we can create a mask here, and we can have a feather here, and we can decrease the similarity. So let us select this color, and now increase the similarity, and I would like to change it to maybe something neon green or something, or maybe a blue. So now if you can see here the similarity, if you increase the similarity, the overall thing is getting affected and it is calculating all the values here. So in order to get that same effect, if this color replace is not working, we can also do this from our curves, which is the RGB curves. What we can do here is you just turn off this color replace, and what we can do here is we can have a control of individual channel over here. So you can decrease down the blue here, you can decrease down the green here as well, and maybe you can, so if not curves also, then you can also record this from color place. So it would work up to some extent, but after certain pixels as they are getting repeated, it would not act into it. It is not turning our entire footage into the respective color. So what I suggest is we can have a masking kind of thing, or we can maybe we can try out here. We can replace with this blue, and we can have this as green, and we can decrease the similarity. So if you can see here, this is creating a pretty cool effect here. And as my these pixels here were not visible, so it was not totally proper. The output was of this was not totally visible here, and it was the color replace was not working effectively as many pixels were getting repeated. So this again depends upon what kind of footage you choose and where are you applying and which color you are picking. So this color picker is the most important aspect while replacing any color from your video clip. So right now, if you can see this from my blue, it has been changed to green, and the rest of the things remain unaffected. So this was our color replace. Let's check the next effect and the last effect for image control, which is gamma correction. So let me check this off. And this gamma correction is basically it affects the lightens or darkens a clip without substantially changing the shadows and highlights. And it does this by changing the brightness levels to all the midtones, and while leaving the dark and the gray regions in our video clip unaffected. So let's check that. If we increase the gamma, it is leaving the dark and the white areas. You can see these dark and the white areas is keeping it unaffected, and it is playing and it is changing the brightness levels of the midtones. So in this way you can correct your gamma. So yeah, this was our gamma correction. So let us go through the different image controls. So let us go through the different image control effects which we have seen now. They are black and white effect, color balance RGB, color pass, color replace, and the last one is gamma correction. So these effects are the part of image control effects. Now let us go to the next set of effects. Now let's come to the next effect, which is the noise and grain effects tab. And the first effect inside it is dust and scratches. So this dust and scratches effect reduces the noise and the defects in a video clip by changing the dissimilar pixels within a specified radius to be more like their neighboring pixels, and to achieve a balance between the sharpness of the image and the hiding defects, we try various combination of radius and threshold. So let us see that. But the thing is, we do not have any kind of dust or scratches here, many major dust or scratches here. It is generally noticed on old footages. While we are working on the footages which are very old, and maybe you can say of around 80s or 90s. So then the dust and scratches are being found, but in this footage it would not be able to visible as there are no dust and scratches as of now in this footage, and it basically reduces the dust and the scratches from the footage which was there originally. And through this threshold we can also control the amount of this dust and scratches. It starts from 0.0 and it's up to 1. So the last is 1.0, as I said, maybe 0.5, and if you can make the radius to maybe 15, it would create a very soft blur kind of thing. Maybe 35. So as you can see here, many objects are getting pixelated here as there are no dust and scratches, and by default our software is considering them as dust and scratches. So yeah, that was our dust and scratches. The next effect of a dust and scratches is median. So let us drag and drop the median effect. So this median effect basically replaces each pixels with a pixel that has the median color value. of its neighboring pixel with the specified radius. At low radius, this effect is useful for reducing some type of noise, and at higher radius, this effect gives an image a very painting kind of appearance, a brushstroke kind of appearance. So let us see that. Right now it is at 0. So if we increase this, maybe it's to 25. So as you can see here, it is creating that painting kind of effect. As I said earlier, I've increased this from 25 to 28. So this kind of effect can be created through median. You can also animate this from starting from painting color to this brushstroke to the settling to the normal one. So this was median. Let's come back to our next effect, which is noise. And this noise effect changes the pixel randomly throughout the image. Let us increase the amount of noise, and if you can see here, it creates this noisy kind of effect on our footage. And if you increase this on a higher side, the more amount of noise would be created. So this effect is also watched in earlier kind of TV channels when there was some disturbance kind of thing in cable or something. So there are two options here with this is use color noise. So if I uncheck this, this is only in black and white, and you can create this distorted kind of TV distort or TV noise effect in Premiere, and less the number of percentage, less the number of noise would be. So this was our noise. The next is noise alpha. So this noise alpha adds noise to the alpha channel. Though we do not have any alpha channel here, we will not be able to see this, but it is affecting the overall image, as it is basically meant to be affected on alpha. But the thing is, as we do not have any alpha channel, it is affecting our entire video footage here, and this full video footage is opaque. So you can try this with a video footage which has alpha, maybe a PNG or a TIFF format. And the next is noise HLS. So this noise HLS effect is, again, it generates the static noise in clips that use still or moving source footage, and this noise HLS automatically creates the animated noise. And both effect offers various types of noise that can be added to hue, saturation, and lightness. As it says HLS, so it's very much sure it would be hue, lightness, and saturation of a clip. So let's check this. This is the noise. This type of noise means it's uniform, which would create an animated kind of noise throughout. And the next is squared. The squared animation creates animated high contrast noise. And the last one, grain, it produces grain like noise similar to the film grain. So let us increase this maybe to 40%, lightness to maybe 56, and saturation to be 50. So this is creating an overall effect. We have three different kind of noise effects which are provided in our HLS. So they almost are of the same attributes. And this is the last one, noise HLS auto. If you can see this, this is creating an animation, whereas the previous noise HLS was only noise HLS, and this auto creates animation. If I increase this U to maybe 50, lightness to 60 and saturation to maybe say 28 and grain size to be maybe 25. So you can see the amount of grain as it has been scaled to 25, though on a higher value Premiere accepts till 10. We can make this to 5. And noise, this is the speed, what kind of speed you want. This is generally effective while you want to create that TV kind of noisy effect. So these were the effects under the noise effect panel. The next set of effect is perspective, and the first effect under perspective is the basic 3D. So we have just drag and dropped our basic 3D effect here. So this basic 3D basically manipulates a clip in the 3D space, and we can rotate an image around the horizontal and the vertical axis and move it towards or away from the camera. And with this basic 3D, we can also create a spectacular highlight to give the appearance of light reflecting off a rotated surface. And this light source from the specular highlight is always above on the layer, on the video layer, and this light comes from above, and this image can be tilted backwards to see the reflection, and the specular highlight can enhance the realism of the 3D appearance. So let us see that now. So the first option here is swivel. So the swivel controls the rotation around the vertical axis, and we can rotate this past 90 degree to see the back side of the image, which is the mirror image of the front. So let us see that. So if you can see that this is rotating in the vertical axis, and if I increase the amount, I'm able to see its back portion also, the back portion of the footage, and we can have some stunning animation, intro animation here. And this is the tilt. So this tilt controls the vertical rotation around the horizontal axis, and this distance to image specifies the image's distance from the viewer or the camera. As this distance gets larger, the image reduces. So you can see here I'm increasing the distance to image value, and this image is getting farther from the viewer, and we can have a very nice cool intro and animation. Let's have that. Maybe at first frame I want it to be like this, and in the next frame I want it to be like this, and again in the next frame I want it to be like this, and the distance to image would be like this, and over here it will be everything in reset. So let us check this. If I delete this keyframes, what happens here is it is creating a very smooth kind of animation, but I want this to be a little faster along with the smoothness, and I just right clicked and pressed ease in, or maybe I would say to my first frames as ease out. And this as ease in, the ending keyframes. I want this to be more faster, and right now as you can see this effect is looking pretty cool. And I would just check on the specular highlight here. So this would have this light on the 3D image. As you can see here, this light is there, and maybe we can have again a animate out keyframe here, where you can see the light here, and I want this to be mm, getting it down, getting from the getting far away from the viewer. It comes in. Let us see the animation now. It comes in, it stays for a while, and then it again goes back with this peculiar highlight. So this was our basic 3D, where you can convert a clip into a 3D space and have its rotation along with swivel and tilt. So let's come to the next effect, which is bevel alpha. So this bevel alpha creates a bevel on the image, and basically it creates an bevel on the alpha image also. But if the image does not have any alpha channel, it creates the same effect on the footage which is totally opaque, as we have that currently right here in our timeline. So it creates an beveled edges to the boundaries of our image. So let us see that now. If we increase the edge thickness, so if you can see here, it has started creating the thickness across its borders, and it is creating a depth, a 3D depth kind of thing. Though our video footage does not have any alpha layer or alpha channel, it is still creating that same effect, and it is a very smooth kind of effect. I would say this intensity to maybe 4, not 1, maybe 0.5. And this is the light angle, from which angle you want your light to be reflected here, and I would say 60 or maybe minus 60. And this is the light color, what kind of light you want. This is the red, this is the blue light, blue color creating a blue tint. This is the pink light. I would like to stick to white and black here. And this is the edge thickness. I don't want so much of thickness, so I would make this to maybe 45. And yeah, this kind of 3D bevel effect you can also give to your footage. And the next effect here is bevel edges. So what is the difference between the bevel edges and bevel alpha? So in this bevel edges, the thickness, the edge thickness are always in rectangular form, and unlike our bevel alpha. And if the video footage has alpha channel and is not in a rectangular form, it would not create the appropriate effect. So it has to be in rectangular form, and it always produces the rectangular kind of bevel to its edges, the bevel 3D effect. So let us make this to maybe 10, and let us get the difference. So if you see this, it has created the rectangle effect, and maximum it goes up to 0.5. I would make this to maybe 0.01, 0.1 now. So it has created this rectangular effect. 0.2, 0.25, 0.3. This is just in order to show you 0.4, the last 0.5, where the entire things get closed. And I would make this 2.15. So this is creating, bevel edges is creating this kind of rectangular effect here. And yeah, so this was our bevel edges. Let us come to the next effect, which is drop shadow. So before drop shadow, I would like to take this layer to my above video target, and I would like to create a column mat with white in color, and I would name this to white mat. And over here, if you see this, you're not able to visible here, as this layer is checked on. And I would make this scale of the fruit salad video layer to maybe 80, in order to show you the in order to show you the effect of the drop shadow. So I would, the shadow color here is 50. If I just check on and off, just you can check here, check on and off, it has created the drop shadow. It is the same drop shadow which can be created in Adobe Photoshop. So I would like to make this distance to say maybe 102 or maybe 150 degree, and this is the direction and this is the distance. This is the opacity with 50%. That's okay. And softness, I would like to make this to maybe 15. So if you can see here, this is creating a soft drop shadow effect, and you can have a change of rotation on the drop shadow degrees. Maybe you can decrease this down to maybe 10 and opacity as 70. So yeah, my white matte has been shortened in duration, so that would not be repeated now. And this now is looking very cool, as it is creating a shadow, an impact is coming, and a depth is also generated. So this was our drop shadow. Let's come to the next effect, which is radial shadow. If you increase radial shadow opacity, so the next effect here is the radial shadow, and it casts shadows from its image, from in between the image, and you can, by selecting this effect, you can have a control over its angle and the light source from where you want to cast its shadows, and you can move it around your viewer, as I'm just doing it right now, as you can see here. And you can also increase its opacity, its color, and this is the projection distance, how much distance you want. If I increase this to maybe 5, so this is the output. This is the softness. I will make this to 15, and this is regular. This is glass edge. Hardly any difference between these both, glass edge and regular. So it is almost creating this kind of effect, and it is casting the shadows from wherever you want, from wherever you take a mouse cursor. Suppose if I take my mouse cursor here, then it is casting shadows from here. And projection distance, if I decrease this down to maybe 3, so it would create that kind of the shadow. So this was the last effect inside our perspective effects tab. Here we end the perspective effects. Let us come down to the next set of effects, which is stylize, and the first effect here is alpha glow. So this alpha glow basically works on the videos which has alpha channel. So currently if you drag and drop here, it would not work here, and if we select this and any kind of, it would not work here, as the video has to have a alpha channel in it, but our video only has RGB channel and it does not have any alpha channel. Delete that, and it basically creates an glow on the channels on the video footage, this alpha glow. Let's come down to the next topic, which is brush strokes. So what this brush stroke does is it creates a water painting kind of effect. If we increase this stroke length maybe, so now if you see this, and it's creating this kind of painting effect. You can increase the size here as well. This is the brush size. Right now it's 5. Let's make this to 1, 3. Stroke length, how much longer you want your stroke length to be. This is the stroke density, how dense should be the stroke, maybe 2. Now you can get this effect. So now you're able to get this brush stroke effect, and this is the stroke randomness. I would say maybe stick to one, the how much random you want your strokes to be, and if you increase this to be 50, blend with original, again it would have 50% of painting this brush stroke effect as well as the 50% of original. If you say or only 100, the entire thing will be playing without the effect. So I would say this to 0 as I want only my brush effect here. This is a quite heavy effect, so it requires a nice kind of configuration for your system, maybe an 8 GB of RAM with a quad-core processor or something. So yeah, this was brush strokes. The next effect here is color emboss. So let us check. We increase the relief size here, contrast, and I would increase the amount of relief to be more so that you can get the difference. So if you see this, this is embossing our video layer. If you see the edges here, 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 so you can increase the relief like this. Anything you want, you can also create this kind of effect, and then maybe you can bring this down, animate this, and just to get this effect, and then you can maybe 0, which comes back to normal. This is creating a very cool kind of effect. I would like to say ease in, as I always prefer smooth animations. So it was a pretty cool and very smooth kind of animation. And contrast is 105. You can also decrease the contrast, but it's nice to keep the contrast in a middle average range. I would say maybe 58. So this was the color emboss effect in such stylize. Let's come to the next effect, which is emboss. It does not emboss the color, but is only embossing our video footage here. And on a grayscale mode, it's the same direction, relief, contrast is 100. We increase the contrast. So it is creating a outline kind of thing with embossing our video footage. The next effect is find edges. So this is a hand drawing kind of effect, very artistic and sketchy kind of effect. You can use it anywhere you want. You can maybe you can use it suppose on this footage. I would say replace with come from bin. So this lady footage here. So let us have her images 0. Right now it's 0. So this, what it does is it calculates the corner and the edges, and it creates the artistic or the sketchy kind of feel to the video. So this was our fine edges, and the next here effect is mosaic. It creates a mosaic tiles kind of blocks here. As you can see, it's horizontal blocks and vertical blocks. You can decrease or increase this. Right now it is 26 and 39. So you can increase it according to your need, according to the effect you want to create. You can create this kind of animation also. Maybe at the beginning it's 4, and maybe at the ending starting it's 4, or maybe not 4. We can have the vertical blocks as say, so this can be created. Again, I would say ease in. So yeah, this effect is looking pretty cool. This can be a kind of animation, an animating kind of effect, an intro kind of thing. You want to have it in your video clip. So this was mosaic. The next effect is posterize, which creates a poster kind of feeling, a poster kind of look. You can increase its level. The minimum is 2, the maximum is maybe 255, and you can get these levels. Right now it's 15, so you're getting these 15 kind of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 like that kind of levels in your video clip. You can also animate with these. Maybe starts from 7 and ends at 50. So you can use this kind of and also create this kind of effect. This is also very common. This posterized effect is very common when you're creating a kind of music album or a music video kind of thing. So you can use this effect and it looks pretty cool. The next effect after posterize is replicates. So by the term, it's very much common that it would replicate the footage. By default the count is 2. If I increase this, so this creates a replica, multiple replica of our video footage, and this can again also be added as a very funky effect. This, I'm sure you must have seen this effect quite often, as this is a very famous effect. Suppose I do not want this slow, then what I do here is suppose if we want to have something innovative, then we would mask this out here and we'll have feather to 40, and let's see this, how does it looks. And this is again a very innovative and creative kind of effect which you can create, and it's look pretty cool. So the next effect here is roughen edges. This is the border. It basically, if you can see here, it creates this kind of look and it creates a roughen kind of feel on our edges. And this type is roughen. Currently this is roughen color, so it would create this kind of effect, and you can choose the color from here. So you can choose anything you want. I would maybe choose dark purple kind of tint, and you can edge sharpness. This is the fractal influence, how much fractal you want. This is total smooth. This is bit sharp. I do not want 500. I would like to make this as 250. Edge sharpness maybe 2. And this is the scale, how much fractal you want this, the how much big or small you want this to be. So right now you can see the more I'm increasing, the more it is getting spreaded away, and the more it is scaling up. So this kind of effect also you can use. Maybe you can also use black here. This is rough color. This is cut. This is spiky. These are the different kinds of edge type. This is rusty. The other different, this is rusty color. Let's make this to blue. Photocopy, it's getting totally inverse. Photocopy color, this will be blue. I would like to make this to roughen color as of now. So you can, this kind of effect also looks pretty cool. So it acts as a mask here, and there are the different kind of attributes like stretch, width or height. You can have this artistic kind of border here. This is the turbulence. You can again animate this. So yeah, you can also have your videos edges in different kind of ways you want through this rough and edges effect. So this was our rough and edges effect. The next effect here is solarize. So basically creates a tint, and this is the threshold, how much you want it. You can use this kind of on a dreamy sequence or something if you want to create. This is again a kind of color effect, you can say, which is there in stylize, a solarize kind of effect. The next here is strobe light, which is pretty cool, and we will see this effect. This is basically used in music videos, mashups, music albums, when there is a kind of pretty funky music and a remix kind of music. So if I play this, this continuously blinks, and if we tweak this more, let us tweak this more, and I want to have this animation more fast. So what I do here is I tweak with its strobe duration, strobe period, and this is the random strobe probability. This kind of effect is used these days, and it is pretty cool and pretty trendy here. So instead of this black flash, you can have any kind of flash you want, but generally black is used, or maybe white. So this basically is creating a strobe kind of a jerky kind of animation, and it's look pretty cool when we are making any kind of music album, uh, like a song which is to be sing. Then you can use this effect, and it really nice, and it looks as if it is totally syncing with our audio. So this is the random seed, how you want your strobe to be randomized. I would say maybe 50. So yeah, this is a pretty cool effect. So this was strobe light. The next effect here is texturize, and this is texture layer. It's asking me, suppose I put 1 or maybe 2. As right now there is no video here, so let us import one video, and I would take this woman video here, and we would remove the matte, and on this I would say video 1, and if you can see here, the beneath layer of our woman is being revealed here, and if we increase the contrast to 2, the layer beneath this is visible. I would say scale to frame size first. So this is visible, its edges are visible here. If you can see this edges, this red edge is visible here. This can again act as a nice effect if you want. You can also change its light direction. So yeah, this was texturize, and the last effect for our stylize is threshold, which creates a black and white map, and you can also animate this. This is a kind of black and white map, as I said. I've created an animation here. So yeah, this was threshold, and here we end our effects with under the stylized effects panel, which was threshold. As we have seen all the effects inside the stylized effect panel, now we would move on to the next effect, which is time. And the first effect here is echo. So what echo basically does is it creates a trails kind of effect, and it creates a echo in our video footage, and it mainly works when there is some kind of transition of the character or there is something which is in motion. So let's check that. Right now I'm not applying this effect as I want you to show my footage first. So if you see here, there is a movement of this lady, there is the hand movement, and so we would apply here, and let's drag and drop here. So if you see, it has created a decay, it is creating a kind of lighting, and I would make this to maybe 0.5, maybe 0.4, and this is the number of echoes. How much echo? If you can see here, this this area, yeah, I've got another application, and I would like to show this area. This area it has created through this effect echo, and it has created a motion blur kind of thing on our character's hand. So we'll check this on Premiere now. So this thing, what if I turn off echo? I'm just turning off this effect, so it comes to normal, and even the decay has been removed as it was on 0.4, and this replica or the trail of the hand has been removed again. So this is a kind of effect which you can create, and it is normally generally seen in movies also. And what if I increase the number of echoes here from 1, I make it to 5? Then you can see multiple effects: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my first, this is my second, this is my third, this is my fourth, and this one is my fifth. So basically, if you see here, there are 5 kind of echoes which are created, and this happens when we increase the amount of echo number of echoes, which is 5. What if I increase to 10? It is creating this echo effect. You can see here as well, this portion. I will make this down to 4, and if I turn this off, this motion blur kind of thing would go away. Let's decrease our decay mode to maybe 2. So right now there are only 2 echoes, and we have decreased down the amount of decay as well as echo. And this is the echo time seconds, how much we want, how much difference in time we want. Suppose if I increase this more, so as you can see here, this thing on this frames. So yeah, on her cap here also on the mountains, it's creating an echo as we have decreased the timing, and you can see here this also is creating a wonderful effect. This kind of effect is generally seen in movies, or maybe a sequence where a person wants to show with some hallucination or something. So if you can see here, this mountains are also creating echoes as there is movement, and as I had mentioned earlier also, this would happen if there is any transition, or if there is any kind of motion or movement in our video footage. So yeah, in this way you can have your echo and create this effect. Now let's come down to the next effect and the last one in the time effect, which is posterized time. So basically this posterized time so basically this posterized time effect locks a layer to a specific frame rate. So by default it's on 24, and if you can see here the footage is playing totally smooth. And let us import another footage, and I would say replace with clip from bin. So this is my footage. Also scale to frame size. And as you can see here, a car is passing by, and there are two ladies who are coming into the frame. And we can have a cool effect here, and by which will lock our frame rate. And right now it is on 24 fps, and the original fps of our video footage which has been imported is 25. So what we'll do is we'll make down this to 3. So let's check what happens in 3. So this creates as you can see here, I've just turned off the effect. As you can see here, these people, they are walking and all, they all are in motion, and it is, this light is turning on and off, and these are coming, this guy is going. So let us see what happens in posterized time when we make the frame rate to 3. I'll just check on this effect. So this is creating a very cut to cut kind of effect, a stop motion basically, is the stop motion effect basically. And what if I increase this to maybe 5? Then currently this is playing in 5 fps from 25 fps, and it's playing 5 frames per second instead of 25, and so it is creating this stop motion kind of effect. What if we make it to 60? So right now it is playing on 60 fps, which means 60 frames in 1 second. By default it is 24. Max to max it can go up to 99. Let's make this down to maybe 5. So this is, if you can see the walk here, this person, uh, this was our posterized time, which locks a video and its frame to our own specific frame rate which we want to. We can also make this down to maybe 2. So yeah, this was our effects inside time, which was echo and posterized time. The next effect after time is transform, which has crop, edge feather, horizontal flip, and vertical flip. So let's have a look on these effects, and maybe I will drag this footage into my timeline, and I would, or maybe not this, or maybe this guitar players, and I would come to the first effect, which is crop. So what crop basically does is it crops or cuts the footage from a particular position, either from left, top, right, or bottom. So I would like to have this effect from top. So if I increase this, you can see here, or maybe I would replace my footage, and I've got these three footages, and this one is of swans, this one is of scuba diving, and let's scale this all to frame size, and this is again of diving. So what I'll do is I will I want to have I don't want this guitar footage, so in one frame itself I want to have a glimpse of all the three. So first I would like to choose my footage. I would have a cut here. I would delete this, and I would also unlink its audio, as I do not want audio as of now, and I will drag its position to maybe a little up, and I would apply crop, and I would maybe from top and from bottom, and I would reposition this something like this, and I would take the scuba diving above this, and I want it from here, and what I would do is I would again apply crop here, and I would scale this down a bit, and over here in this footage I want this, oops, this whale, and this lovely fishes here. So I would again take this layer beneath up, and I would position this very down, and I would like to, if you can see here, there are these two black frames, so I would like to crop it. So what I do here is I resize this, I again take a crop, and I crop it from top by increasing it from the mouse, and again from the bottom, and I reposition this here, and mm, so as you can see right now, three of the footages are playing in one frame parallelly, first, second, third, and I have created this black border, or I can even take this up. So there is no black border now, but I prefer to keep a breathing space. So this can be achieved here through this crop effect, and this is really a cool effect. And suppose if you want to show anything in multiple frames, then you can show that. This is also used when in a maybe a music album or maybe a mashup or remix, this kind of cool effect. You can also increase its brightness and animate it like this. Then again you can copy it here, and you can also do like this, anything you want. And you can also have its feather here, edge feather. So if you can see here, this is creating a feather here, and you can have the feather on its edges on the four corners. So right now I do not want any feather, so I will make this to 0, and I just want you to show the crop effect. The good thing of crop is, suppose after this you want this diving footage, I'll just toggle this on the beneath layer to grab the entire screen. So what you can do is you can animate it as I'll show you now. So after a certain while, from here I want my animation, and I would press here all the 4 keys, and up till here I want this to be covered in full frame. So what I do is I make this top to 0, and I make this bottom again also to 0, and I set a keyframe here on my position as I had shifted the position initially, and I go this to this frame, and over here again I set a keyframe, and over here I make this to reset. So you can see the difference now displaying, and this would now grab the entire screen. So the below layers, these layers are now overridden now, as we had make this, we can make this animation more smoother and faster. I would make this to continuous easier, and let's check it now. So yeah, now it is capturing the entire screen, and the below layers, the below videos are being hidden as it is overriding, and we have captured the entire frame. So yes, through this crop effect you can create this effect. Now coming to the next effect, which is edge feather. So I would just have this scuba diving effect here, as I do not want any. I would delete the crop here, and I would reset its position, and I would scale this down a bit, and let's check this edge feather. If I increase the amount, it creates a feather on the edges, and the edges are not rough right now or not sharp here. You can have a white background in order to get the difference, or maybe we'll replace the footage. So over here, if you want to increase the feather, let's take a white matte, color matte. So as you can see here, this is creating a feather on the edges. So you can create this if you want this kind of effect and you don't want its edges to be harder or sharper. So you can create this smoothness on the four corners and the edges of the video. So this was edge feather. Now this is horizontal flip. Uh, Let me delete this and resize this. So I've just inserted this horizontal flip and it has flipped the entire footage horizontally. Originally it was this, now it's this. In order to create a replica, you can create a mask here. So this was act as a duplicate kind of thing. So this has been horizontally flipped, and I don't want the mask right now, that was just for your viewing purpose. And this has horizontally flipped our footage. Let's try this on another footage. This is without our effect. Initially these two guys were starting from here, and if we on this, they are starting from the horizontal flipped position. In the same way, there is vertical flip. If I toggle off this, this is the footage and this is vertically flipping it. I would create one more here and I would delete the vertical flip from here. So this is the vertical flip, which is totally reversing our footage, and it is flipping the video vertically. So these were our effects inside the transform effects panel. Now we would come to the next effect, which is video, and this is the last effect inside the video panel, the effects video panel, and this is clip name. So what if we insert here, and you can see here it shows guitar players 1109.mp4 as this is our video file name, and it would stay here throughout. This is just for in case of labeling your footages if you want to. Generally we do not, as it takes the mind or it takes the attention of the viewer from our movie or from our video sequence to the name of the video. So ideally we do not do this, and just in case if you want this for some time, then you can play with its opacity, and initially it would show, then make this down to 0. But you can see here this would still remain on white, and this would still remain there, and it animates basically the black strip, which is now at 100, and it's says here position, so you can have its position anywhere you want. And left, this is the alignment. I would make this to center. This is the size, how big you want. And this is again the opacity animation which we have already done. This is display sequence name, project clip name, and file name. So I would make this to sequence clip name. Source track video 1. It is not displaying anything as there is no video on video 1. In video 2 there is. What if I make this to video 3? Again it would not show anything as there is no video on these layers, video 1 and video 3. So I would like to make this to video 2, back to, and yeah, this was clip name. The next is time code, which is much obvious by its name. It displays the time along with its hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. This is again the position, this is the size, this is the opacity, this is field symbol,